The morning sunlight stretched across the marble floors of the Whitmore estate, pouring through the tall glass windows like liquid gold. Outside, the garden was alive, birds chirping, roses shimmering with dew, and the faint hum of the fountain echoing against the walls. But inside, silence ruled. It had been 18 months since Daniel Whitmore's accident, 18 long, hollow months since Rebecca lost her husband and the father of her 2 children. Rebecca Whitmore, the elegant widow in her early 30s, had built a wall around her heart. Once full of laughter and warmth, she had become distant, cold, and consumed by her work. She ran her late husband's company with precision, but every night, she stared into the emptiness of her mansion, haunted by memories that refused to fade. Her 2 children, Ethan and Lily, tried to bring light into her world, but their mother's smile had become a rare thing, a fragile flicker that never lasted long. The only sound that day came from the garden, the rhythmic clank of metal against earth. A young man, in a simple gray shirt rolled up to his elbows, was tending to the roses. His name was Mark Evans, the new gardener. Hired only a few weeks earlier, he was different from the others. He didn't just trim hedges or mow lawns, he spoke to the plants, handled every leaf with care, and smiled often, even when no one was watching. Rebecca had noticed him once or twice through her office window. Something about him intrigued her, the calm focus, the patience. He was not like the wealthy men she was used to meeting in business circles. But she dismissed the thought as soon as it came. She wasn't looking for anything. Her life was too broken. That morning, Rebecca was in her study when she heard laughter. Real, innocent laughter. The sound startled her. It was Ethan and Lily, laughing so hard that she thought for a second she was dreaming. Curious, she walked to the window and saw something she never expected. Mark, the gardener, was in the backyard with her kids. He had set up a small barbecue grill. The air was filled with the aroma of sizzling burgers and toasted buns. Ethan was helping him flip a patty with exaggerated seriousness, while Lily sat nearby, giggling as she painted Mark's face with barbecue sauce. Rebecca froze. What on earth was happening? Her instinct, sharp and protective, kicked in. No one was allowed to get that close to her children without permission. She stepped outside, her heels tapping sharply against the patio tiles. "Mark," she called, her tone firm. Mark turned, startled. His hands were full, one holding a spatula, the other a plate of freshly grilled buns. Ethan and Lily went silent instantly, sensing their mother's mood. "Mrs. Whitmore, I can explain," Mark began, looking genuinely nervous. Rebecca's eyes flicked from him to her children, then to the table filled with food. "Explain. Are you running a barbecue on my property with my kids?" Ethan looked down, his small voice trembling. "Mom, we were just—" "It's my fault," Mark interrupted quickly. "They were watching me work and asked if I could make burgers. I had some ingredients in my bag, I thought it would be fun." Rebecca's expression was unreadable, part anger, part confusion. But behind it, a faint warmth tried to push through. It had been so long since she'd seen her kids this happy. Still, she couldn't let her guard down. "You're a gardener, not a babysitter," she said coldly. "Next time, you ask permission." Mark nodded. "Of course, ma'am. I'm sorry." He started packing up quietly, wiping his hands, avoiding her gaze. Ethan and Lily looked crushed. "Mom," Lily whispered, "he was making special burgers for us. He said they're secret recipes from his mom." Rebecca's eyes softened slightly, but she said nothing. She turned and walked back into the house. The laughter had stopped. The silence returned. That evening, as the sky dimmed and shadows stretched across the walls, Rebecca stood by the window again. The garden looked peaceful. Mark was still there, carefully watering the plants even though it was almost dark. She noticed how gently he handled each stem, how he smiled faintly at a butterfly that landed on his arm. Something tugged at her heart, something she had buried long ago. The next morning, Ethan and Lily came into her room early. "Mom, can Mark still make burgers?" Ethan asked hopefully. Rebecca sighed. "We'll see." She had a long day ahead, meetings, calls, decisions, but her mind kept drifting to the garden. Around noon, she finally walked outside, pretending to inspect the plants. Mark was trimming a hedge, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Mark," she said, her tone softer this time. He turned, surprised. Mrs. Whitmore. I was harsh yesterday, she admitted. You were just being kind to my kids. Mark smiled humbly. They're good kids. They remind me of my little brother. Rebecca tilted her head. You have family? Not anymore, he said quietly. My parents passed when I was 19. I took care of my brother until he joined the army. Gardening helps me stay grounded. There was sincerity in his voice, the kind that couldn't be faked. For a moment, they stood in silence, the breeze carrying the scent of lavender between them. Finally, Rebecca spoke. If you'd like, you can barbecue again this weekend. I'll join you. But this time, let's do it properly. Mark's eyes brightened. Of course, ma'am. That weekend became a turning point. The table was set beautifully, clean plates, juice glasses, warm sunlight filtering through the trees. Rebecca wore a simple dress, her hair down, her smile hesitant but real. Ethan and Lily ran around with joy. Mark, wearing his familiar gray shirt and apron, was by the grill, flipping burgers with care. The smell filled the air again, familiar now, comforting. Rebecca couldn't help but laugh when Lily tried to help by adding too much sauce to the buns. Mark looked up and smiled at her. They've got your spirit, he said softly. Rebecca chuckled. Or their father's appetite. The mention of Daniel brought a brief silence. Rebecca looked down, and Mark noticed the pain flicker across her eyes. He loved barbecues, she said quietly. Every Sunday. Mark nodded gently. Then we'll make it a Sunday tradition again. Something about those words, simple, genuine, broke through the last of her walls. She didn't realize tears were forming until Lily tugged at her hand. Mom, are you okay? Rebecca nodded, smiling. Yes, sweetheart. I'm okay. For the first time in a long while, she meant it. They spent the afternoon eating, laughing, and sharing stories. Rebecca noticed how naturally Mark fit in, not like an employee, but like someone who belonged. The kids adored him, and his kindness wasn't forced. He treated her with respect, never crossing boundaries, yet his eyes held something, warmth, admiration, maybe even love, that made her heart flutter in ways she had forgotten. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in orange and pink, Rebecca found herself lingering beside the grill while the kids played in the yard. Thank you, Mark, she said softly. For today. He smiled. Thank you for letting me. She hesitated. I haven't seen them this happy in a long time. Mark looked at her for a moment, then said quietly, maybe they just needed to see you happy again. Those words struck deep. She didn't reply, she couldn't. She just looked at him, her heart caught between gratitude and something she didn't dare name yet. When the evening ended and everyone went inside, Rebecca stood on the balcony, watching Mark clean up the garden. She felt something new, not guilt, not grief, but hope. A fragile, beautiful hope. And for the first time since her husband's death, Rebecca whispered to herself, maybe life isn't over. Maybe it's just beginning again.